Your Daily 180, 180 seconds of pure Bible study.
God is a promise keeper. Well, what kind of promises has He made? And can we count on those promises? Let me share with you two passages of Scripture which should give us enormous confidence and great assurance. Number one, Titus 1 and verse 2 says, God cannot lie. Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 18 says, it's impossible for God to lie. It is so contrary to who He is, so contrary to His nature, it would be like me flapping my arms and flying around the building. I can't do it. It's not who I am. And God does not lie because God is loyal to the promises He makes. Now, what kind of promises does He make? Well, we're going to look at a couple today. But let me just say this, He makes some general promises. We'll be looking at that today. And then we're going to look at the fact that He makes some negative promises as well. Now, we may not think of negative as being a promise, but it is. And then He makes some sweet, precious promises as well. Now, what about those general promises? Well, if you look over at Genesis chapter 8 and verse number 22, this is a promise to all humanity, whether they obey God, whether they believe in God or not. Genesis 8 and verse number 22, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. These people that are coming off the ark after the universal flood, God says, you know what? The seasons will continue. Now, there are some irregularities that happen, from time to time, but the pattern is going to be there. There will be springtime when you plant, there will be summer when you cultivate, and harvest when you harvest. The pattern will continue. He promises that. Now, that's a promise to everyone. Look over at Genesis chapter 9 and verse 16. When they come off the ark after the universal flood, God gives the promise of the rainbow, that He will never destroy the earth, completely destroy the earth by water again. Notice verse 16. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. Now, isn't that interesting? God says, I'll remember. Now, God doesn't have a memory problem, but He's trying to emphasize to that, I am a promise-keeping God. And I want you to get that, especially as we go into future lessons. When God says, I'm going to do this, these are the parameters, He means it. He's a promise-keeping God, and He's loyal to the things that He says. Join us again.